Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Drone Wars. So, here's the board in front of us, and there's only three major powers left in the series here. So you can see that the Federation has taken over mainly the center of the map here. They've kind of just spread out a little bit, but they're mostly centered around these two quadrants here. Delta Shipyards is mostly in these two quadrants here. They have some quarrels with the Federation here, as you can see. And then the Pirate Empire, they've got pretty much just a giant L on the map here. And I'm assuming that their strategy is that they're going to try to move in on two sides to try to fight both of these factions simultaneously. Maybe. But we're just going to see what each of these factions do. Yeah, we're just going to jump in and see what the Federation does as a start. The new Galactic Alliance and the Great Redson Empire are no longer really contributing much because they don't have any shipyards or fleets, so they're pretty much out of the game at this point. Alright, so we're going to begin by talking about what the Federation has done. So the Federation has decided to completely avoid combat with their three turns. They've moved their fleets around into more strategic positions, and they're trying to stop the other factions from moving around. Instead of taking on this very powerful fleet directly, they've decided to kind of just cut it off here. Trying to isolate from the rest of the factions down here. And maybe they're doing that so they can kind of just take over some land over there while that fleet's left to fend for itself. Which is pretty smart. Maybe they're just going to go after some shipyards down there. Then another action they've decided to do is to take over another pirate thing over here. So they've taken that over, and that allows them to, get a little more income and also push the pirates back a little bit. Although it does help the Delta shipyards a bit. So that is actually something that's really useful. That means that Pirate Empire is actually losing their sources of income, and the Federation is actually gaining a bit of income from this. So that will actually be very useful for them. It allows them to make larger ships. And of course, the Federation also made another move here to move their fleets from the Pertan Plateaus back to the Trident Ice Flats down here. And I'm guessing they're doing that because they want to try to attack the New Galactic Alliance again. Or they're creating a backup plan in case the Pirate Empire decides to go to the left here. So they at least have something to kind of just push them back a little bit. Now we're moving over to Delta Shipyards. Their first action, of course, they're going to go ahead and finish off the Great Redson Empire. They've had a big grudge against this faction, so they're just going to go ahead and wipe out their last world. Of course, it is a fortress world, so they've moved one of their more powerful fleets over here towards this fortress, and it's just one battleship, some corvettes, and a fighter versus a fortress over on the alien lake. So we're going to go ahead and see how that battle turns out. Well, here we are. This fortress is located on a lake on the alien planet. All the way off in the distance out here should be the Delta Shipyards fleet that is going to attack this fortress. It's just one battleship, a handful of corvettes, and a single fighter. I don't know if this will be enough to take out a fortress, but we're just going to go ahead and see if it is. Almost immediately a lot of missiles have been fired from that battleship. That fortress might be able to fend off against them, but who knows. Yep, that was just about enough point defense. That battleship is going to continue firing those missiles from range. There are some shots going after it too. That battleship is definitely going to struggle if that turret keeps focusing on it. So it needs to keep its distance and keep firing those missiles to the best of its ability. And of course focus on using those cannons. Corvettes are starting to move in a little bit closer too. You can see the battleship down there is going just a little bit lower to try dodging the shots. Those corvettes are definitely moving in. good for these corvettes, but they did manage to take out the main cannon. As you can see, these corvettes are still flying, which is kind of amazing. I actually expected that one to be dead already, but it managed to continue through. Two corvettes still flying around. I don't know if the fighter is still around. Let me check real quick. No, I don't think the fighter is around anymore. But these corvettes are still trying their best to just dig into the fortress here. It is an excellent distraction while that battleship does everything it can. Corvettes are literally just using their hulls as a weapon. Somehow it works, but you know, it is what it is. The battleship in the distance is also just firing away with whatever it has. Gonna take cannon fire and missiles from time to time. I mean, there's only a few turrets here that need to be taken out. You can see one Corvette here has already been taken out. I don't think it's flying anymore. Possibly. Oh, there goes that one. So yeah, the Corvettes here are definitely being wiped out, which is not good. Only a handful of turrets left, and that battleship over there is just circling from a distance. I mean, it's only just a few turrets here left. Long-range artillery from the battleship over there is doing whatever it can. But it is very hard to hit a target that's really far away. I think it's just these last two turrets here, which can't seem to aim at the Corvette there, but definitely seem to be targeting the battleship. At least trying to from time to time. I think it's safe to say that the Delta shipyards has won this fight, because they're eventually going to take out these last turrets here. So we're just going to call this the end of this battle. I think only one Corvette is technically still alive, which should be this one, so that means those are the only survivors. I could check real quick to see if the fighter survived, but I doubt the fighter actually survived. Yeah, it's just in pieces here. So, yeah, we're going to go back to the board and we're going to go ahead and we're going to update it. The Great Redson Empire is actually just officially out of the game now. Alright, we've returned to the board. So as you can see, the Great Redson Empire no longer exists. Delta Shipyards has completely absorbed all of their territories. And then, so that's the first action that Delta Shipyards has accomplished. The second action is that Delta Shipyards has basically moved their other fleet from Teralis over to the alien lake here. So now they have two fleets here that are basically just going to defend from the Federation. Then their third action is that they're actually going to go ahead and send one of their other fleets that was here. They're going to go in and take on that carrier that is dangerously close to their territory down here. So the sooner they can take care of that, the better. I already know how this battle's going to go down, but we're just going to jump in and see if this is enough to take out that carrier. Alright, here we are. We're on Teralis in the ocean. You can see here is that carrier that's been a nuisance for Delta shipyards. And all the way off in the distance, we should have the Delta shipyards force that's going to attempt to take out the carrier. I don't think this is going to be enough, but we're going to see if they can take out the carrier. If they can make that carrier sink, then they win the battle. Almost immediately we can see that these corvettes are kind of just moving in, that fighter's moving in as well, and then that cruiser is just moving behind, which is a smart formation because you don't want to lose your large ship immediately. But after these corvettes start to get within firing range, that cruiser is actually going to move in front of them and try to get into close range combat that could do even more damage. That fighter is mostly going to be a distraction, but I don't think it's going to last very long. As you can see, some of these are already starting to get into range here. Yep, those corvettes are now in range, and they need to move, otherwise they're going to get shot at really quickly. So you can see a lot of railguns coming towards them, and now the fighter and this cruiser are now moving in as well. That cruiser just needs to get in close enough to do some serious damage, but I don't know if it's going to be able to do enough damage. There's already some fighters moving in over here, which is not good. All these close range weapons need to really do their best to take out those fighters. And those point defenses are working overtime to take out as many missiles as possible. This is not looking good for the cruiser here. If anything, I think this cruiser is going to get lost pretty quickly, because it's being attacked by both the carrier and those fighters, and those fighters are equipped to take out large ships. So it is going to take quite the beating here. You can see here the turrets are working overtime to try to take out those fighters. The sooner those fighters can be eliminated, the better. You can see some of them are just flying by here. An amazing fighter actually survived. So the cruiser is now in close enough range to that carrier. It's going to start taking some pretty heavy hits. You can see all these turrets are just working overtime trying to take out everything they can. That cruiser really needs to close the distance. If it can manage to get close enough, then it can hit him with his really close range weapons, aka the torpedoes it has in its nozzle. Up here, in between, so Oh, actually, those torpedoes might have been taken out. Let's see what else on fire. Yeah, his main guns are pretty much almost completely annihilated here, so I don't know if the cruiser's going to be able to do enough damage here. Really, at this point, it's just going to have to use those close-range weapons and do as much damage as physically possible, but I don't know if it's enough. See, he is very quickly losing thrusters. Oh, and the fighters are back as well, so lots of these turrets need to focus on the carrier and the fighters. And to be honest, both of them are a really big threat here. Oh, and the carrier is using its main weapon. And it missed, I think. That was lucky. That hit, that would have done a lot of damage to our cruiser here. And the fighters are just about in range too as well. There's a lot of damage being done here. I don't know if this cruiser is going to be able to keep up here. It's losing a lot. Those fighters are definitely not giving up either. There's been a bit of a collision here. Some of these main, well, not main weapons, but pretty much these turrets around the place are just going around doing whatever they can. I don't know if the AI has been taken out in this cruiser, but it seems to be going down here. Funny because there's a fighter that collided with the cruiser. It's just taking the fighter with them. Yeah, this cruiser is just completely being torn apart. I mean, the entire rear of the ship has basically been disintegrated. His main thruster has been tucked in, is still alive though, so that's lucky. Yeah, that carrier over there is just tearing everything apart. Gonna have a collision into the water here. There's a lot of railgun coming in. There we go. Stopped in his tracks as he appears to have hit some voxel underneath the water here. Yep. Definitely a collision. But now all these turrets are trying to do their best to take out those fighters up above. It appears that this ship might be sinking, so these turrets might not be able to function for much longer. Yep, and that cruiser is completely sunk into the ground there. So that's a loss for Delta shipyards here. I don't think there are any ships left. No, that's it. The carrier has won the battle. So we're gonna go ahead and jump back to the board, and we're gonna see what the pirates do now. Alright, so with the end of that battle over here, well, the Federation keeps their planet. Moving on to the pirates. So the pirates, their first action was actually just to upgrade their shipyard up here to a level 2 shipyard, which means they'll be able to build up to 10 ships in a single fleet from here. That gives them a massive advantage over the Federation here, because then they can just, invade from that point. And of course, they don't like that the Federation has made a little bit of a staging ground right here with their fleet. They want to prevent that fleet from going back and taking over the other worlds over here. So they've gone ahead and sent their fleets that was there over here to go and just deal with that. So, they're up against a cruiser, 2 corvettes, and a lot of fighters, which isn't really all that much. I mean, they are really just outclassing the other fleet completely. So yeah, maybe the terrain might play a role in this battle, but other than that, I don't think the Federation's going to win this fight. They might, but it's a possibility. Alright, here we are. There's quite a lot going on here, so let's just go over what's here. So, the Pirate Empire fleet here, they got their super carrier, they got a battleship there, a battleship there. They have their 4 extra fighters at the fleet there. They have all these fighters being carried by that super carrier, and then they have these fighters being carried by that battleship. That's quite a lot of ships. Off on the opposite side over here, we have the Federation's forces, which of course is just a single cruiser, 2 corvettes, and of course a handful of fighters here to help out. I don't think the Federation's going to win this, but we're going to see if they can possibly... Maybe they might be able to weaken the other fleet. Maybe. It's a possibility, but I don't know if it's going to do all that much here. You can see immediately there's some shots going in to take out as many of those torpedoes as possible. There's a lot of torpedoes coming in. There might be a bit too much for that cruiser. Ouch. Yeah, that's quite a bit of damage. That cruiser is still holding strong though, and it's going to do whatever it can. And now it's going to begin firing away all of its missiles. These corvettes are slowly moving in, trying to do whatever they can. There is a lot of shots coming in. I don't think this corvette's going to do nearly enough damage to take out all these fighters, but they can try. You can see that the other fighters that are passing through here, they're taking quite a bit of damage. And these battleships are just moving forward. Definitely not giving up. There is a lot of railgun being fired everywhere. Cruiser's definitely been hit pretty hard. Still flying though. Well, he's trying to with whatever it has. Ooh, that might have been a fatal shot. I think it's pretty clear that the Federation was not going to win that battle, regardless of the circumstances there. So, yeah, the Powered Empire has successfully taken over that planet, and they learned from their previous mistake and decided to turn that planet into a fortress world just to make sure that other factions wouldn't try to go after it again. So at the end of that battle, the Powered Empire, all the way over here, they've decided that for their final action, they're just going to go ahead and expand up further into Delta Shipyard's territory. They've taken over this world and made it into a colony world, just to boost their income a little bit. Doesn't make too much of a difference, but it's something. So you can see that Delta Shipyards is being pushed further up, and of course the Federation is being cut into pieces again, with that little corner always just being isolated. Yeah, things for the Federation and Delta Shipyards are not doing particularly well here, and the Powered Empire is definitely making some moves trying to wrap around the other factions here. The Great Red Sun Empire was just completely wiped out. There's nothing left of them at all anymore. So that means that the Alliance is really the only smaller faction here that's just holding on by a thread, really. There's no way for them to progress here, but there's just three major powers. Alright, so that's about it for this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you guys are interested in joining us for Season 2, there is a Discord link in the description. Without further ado, that's all for today, and I hope you all have a great day. Alright, take care.